Hi, this is Paul Harr from the Saxophonist Magazine, and I'm here with a playtest and review of classical and jazz mouthpieces from Rousseau. Hi, we hope you're enjoying this product review video. You know, the Saxophonist Magazine produces these videos free of charge and presents them right here on YouTube as a way of giving back to the saxophone community because we want you to be educated and informed on all of your product purchases. So we'd like to ask that if you like this video and others that we've done, that you click the subscribe button below and like this video. Also, if you haven't done so, please go to www.thesaxophonist.org and consider subscribing to our magazine so you can get great product reviews like these, informative articles, and educational features. Now, back to the review. You know, the name Eugene Rousseau has a special place in my heart. As a child growing up in the late 70s and early 80s, Eugene Rousseau was the man. He was ubiquitous. He had his recordings, his clinics, his books, his mouthpieces, his videos. They were everywhere. And he was the guy that we all looked to learn this incredible instrument that we all play. And the very first mouthpieces I played were the classic 4R. For alto and tenor, and then in college, a teacher recommended I try the JDX6 and really loved it. But over the years, my playing changed, and either teachers I was studying under or for whatever reason, I grew away from these mouthpieces. I came to find them limiting. And over the years, I always kept touch with them whenever I was at a conference or a music store, and I would see one, I would try to play it, and they just didn't do it for me. And over the years, I'm sorry to say, if I could be a little critical, they just didn't have consistency. I remember one time before our local music store closed down, they had 5 of them, and I tried 5 mouthpieces, and they were so wildly different. I just was sad, to be honest with you. So I got a crazy email in my inbox about 2 months ago from Jody Espina, JodyJazz Mouthpieces, and he says, "Hey Paul, would you like to try the Rousseau mouthpieces for a review for your magazine?" And I thought, why is Jody Espina contacting me about these mouthpieces? Surely it's just him being a nice guy and trying to help them out. I had no idea that he had purchased the Rousseau brand and was bringing it under his umbrella and bringing back this classic brand. So I was excited to see what he did with it. Well, let me tell you something. This has been a fun play test, and on a number of levels. He sent me a number of mouthpieces for baritone and alto, so we're representing the E-flat side of the family. He sent me JDX jazz mouthpieces. Here's the JDX6, and with that classic shape. Just, this brings back really, really fond memories. And the studio jazz mouthpieces. The NC4, which would come out, I think, in the late 80s or early 90s. Let's see, I have another one over here. The classic 4R that I used to play on, and then the 4R, JDX, and the NC mouthpieces for baritone. So let me tell you what I thought about them. First of all, these mouthpieces are not your grandfather's Rousseau mouthpieces. These mouthpieces are really, really good. They are really well made, and I expect nothing less from Jody Espina. You know, I've always said, maybe you don't particularly find the mouthpiece that's for you, but you will never find a poorly made mouthpiece. You will never ever say that you weren't treated fairly, and you will never say that the quality of material that Jody produces is not 100%. Well, let me tell you something. Let's start with the alto. Going back and playing the 4R classic was deja vu all over again. First of all, I had to use a thinner reed than I've used in years, but it kind of reminded me of high school, and the feel of the mouthpiece was just fantastic. It was a bit bright to me as a player, but when I listened to the recording that was made, I was really happy with it. For me personally, I probably wouldn't choose the classic 4R because of that differentiation in what I hear versus what the audience hears. But I did try the NC4, and I've got to be honest with you. When these came out, I was so excited to try them because, well, they looked like a C-Star mouthpiece, and we all kind of thought that that's what they were channeling with that horseshoe shape, you know, kind of like a soloist slash, you know, Selmer copy. And I remember trying them, and they were just not happening. They had no core, no guts, no color to them. So I was wondering what would happen. Man, the NC4 blew me away. Ease of response in the low and high registers. The altissimo is fantastic, and that core is flexible, but ever present, especially when I would go with firmer reeds or reeds that I would tailor, say take a 4 and really work it down for me. This mouthpiece just really sang. I was impressed with it. The JDX6 with its baffle like that, man, this is exactly what I remember, except it didn't respond as well. This responded way better than the one that I used to play on, and just had that core, but still had the flexibility and response. And then I tried the JodyJazz. Now, once again, kind of like mirroring the NC4, when I tried this mouthpiece when I was in college, I thought, oh, wow, this is kind of Meyer-esque, okay? It had a rollover baffle, you know, kind of traditional shape. And I kept thinking, man, let's see what these are like. And they were just mutts. They were terrible mouthpieces. Well, that's not the case with this. This mouthpiece is really, really fantastic. Gives a whole different vibe. This one's a little bit more punchy and direct, but still has a great core that you can manipulate. This one feels like a classic, great jazz alto mouthpiece. I can play almost pseudo-classical, maybe even kind of a Wilbur Schwartz film noir sound with this, and then just edge it out. And with a variety of different reeds, you can really get some nice colors. I'm not a baritone player, and I don't even try to play one on television. But for me, I kind of approach baritone mouthpieces that way. For me, I really, really enjoyed both the NC 4 and 5 and then the classic 4R. For me, personally, the control of the baritone, which is not my main instrument, just really sang with the 4R, although I love the richness of the NC4, I mean, and the NC5. I mean, they were great. I would certainly stack them up against any baritone mouthpiece right now. The JDX jazz mouthpiece is just a solid, great sounding, all around jazz mouthpiece. It does great work. I would love to play this in a big band because it has that warmth to go with the section and even has that punch, especially down low. I was really blown away by how well down low this mouthpiece played. But I want to show you this chamber. Look at this thing. No, you're not seeing it different. Now that is some slanted walls. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? And I thought, hey man, you know, don't tell me about the birth, just show me the baby. That is some crazy stuff, and it works. So if you notice, if you're a fan or had played on Rousseau mouthpieces in the past, they don't look much different, okay? But let me tell you something. From the very first moment, I noticed that they were going to be unique. And let me show you why. This was the box. Now, if you remember, if you remember getting mouthpieces or looking at Rousseau mouthpieces, they came in a plain box. They didn't have a pouch. They didn't have a ligature or a cap or anything like that. The second I saw this, I thought, oh man, they are really making changes to the quality, consistency, and frankly, I think the marketing that is deserved of a man of this stature. It comes with a beautiful velvet bag, a Robner ligature, which I can't seem to find where I put it, and a cap. These mouthpieces, they don't cost a lot of money. I mean, these are, for the market, cheap mouthpieces, but not cheap in quality and not cheap in materials. Let me tell you something. I went back to the story about the mouthpieces that I had tried in the past, trying 5 or 6 of them, and they were completely different. Wow. Let me tell you something. I took a jeweler's glass to every one of these mouthpieces and gauges. These tables are absolutely positively flat. The rails are even. There's no variance. The tip rails are smooth. The finishing of the mouthpieces is wonderful. There's no gouges. There's no imperfections. These are really great mouthpieces. Let me tell you, this is kind of a phoenix story for mouthpieces. If you're a classical player or if you're a teacher, these are certainly mouthpieces you're going to want to try out again and see what you think. This NC4 model is actually quite impressive. If you're a jazz player, don't let the fact that the name of a great classical saxophonist being attached to the box, don't let that stop you from trying them out. Both the Studio Jazz and the, where's it at here? JDX. I just love the shape of that. I remember when I was a kid and I saw that for the first time, I thought that was the coolest thing. These are also great mouthpieces. We'll try to see in the future if we could try out some of the tenor mouthpieces and soprano mouthpieces. We'll do a review of those later and see what you think. But hey, let me tell you something. This is a nice way to, a pleasant surprise to have in a year that has not been full of pleasant surprises. So if you want to learn a little bit more through a more in-depth review, be sure to go to www.thesaxophonist.org, where you can see this review, educational features, and of course, great reviews. Check it out.